So Anna, it's not hard, it's new.
It isn't hard. It's new. Why does new feel hard? Why do we think new is hard, Dave?
Oh, because I think we have a brain um that makes us want to make things uncomfortable, even though we don't know how they're going to feel, right? And so we tell ourselves a story and we make things worse in our head, and they're really not even bad yet. And yet, so it's we are making it hard before we've even tried. So yeah. I was listening to someone talk about this today, and she was saying like the brain can be reduced down to two major functions, right? Autopilot and emergency brake. And so we're either like just rolling with life, like have you ever driven somewhere and not ever realized how you got there, and then oh my God, you're like, oh, how did I even get here? This is like a 2 hour drive. That's autopilot, right? And then the emergency brake is like when we go to do something new that we've never done before, and the car just stops. It's like, whoa, what are you doing? And so, yeah, it's not hard. It's just new.
And I think that this is something that, as addicts, it's very important to understand. It's very important to understand how your brain works and how it works against your success because it's comfortable. It doesn't want to drive on a new route at all. I go to Omaha, it's 2 hours away from here. I can drive there from any road from my town easily. I know how to get there on the back roads. I know how to get there on the interstate, no problem. But if you turned me around and you told me to drive somewhere in a different direction to a town that I'm not used to driving to, my brain would just be on high alert and it would feel scary and it would feel hard because it's new. That's it. I would still be capable of doing it. I would still be capable of doing it. And I think that hard feels like I'm not capable. I'm not good enough. I can't meet this challenge. And that's not true. And then our brain tells us we should be okay with just staying the same. We shouldn't, don't rock the boat. You don't have to do anything different. We'll start tomorrow. We'll start next week. And so I think it's a very important thing to know how your brain works so that you can be in charge of your life and have more freedom, really. Just have more freedom.
Right. I love when you ask people, and you always often ask people, like, how free do you want to be? And like we get to decide that. And I think part of that is by not assuming things are going to be hard. And I've been known to do it, and Anne always calls me on it, and she's like, don't tell yourself it's not going to work. She say, ask how is this going to work? And I think we have to set ourselves up for success. I have a sign on my desk, right? Everything is figure outable. And I think like we deny this claim in advance. It's backwards for you, but we just deny it, and we just tell ourselves a story. And like, I don't think when I first met Bitten Johnson, right, and I first really understood that I was an addict, I don't think anything monumental really happened other than this new understanding that I had a brain that functioned in a way that wasn't the way I thought it functioned. It just, and
You have a
that was
special
just it.
brain, a
I do.
magical brain.
I have a remarkable brain, a brain worth remarking on, as an addict. And it's that once I understood like the mechanics, not of the physical brain, but how the brain functioned in terms of my addiction, all of a sudden, all these options, simple options opened up to me. And I think it was the first time that I really realized, like, hey, this might be a little hard in the beginning, but in the long run, it's not going to be hard. But
It's
there's going to
it's
be a lot of new.
yeah,
And
and
that
the
became a
truth
new
is
excitement.
life sucks better clean. Life sucks better when we're in integrity and in alignment with who we really want to be. And that's just a fact. And anyone who's experienced it, even for a day, knows that that's true. You know deep down that being in alignment with yourself, there's a cost to staying stuck. There's a cost to coasting. and staying as is. And I think it's really important to know what that is. And I think for me, it feels like chains. It feels like a lack of freedom. Addiction means to be enslaved. Recovery is the opposite of addiction. And that's why I say, how free do you want to be? And that requires me to show up. And sometimes I have to do things scared. But most of the time today, because I've trained myself for so long, I've trained my brain for so long, I'm excited. I'm not afraid. Fear and excitement feel very similar. And I think of this as like, I get to choose. I'm at this fork in the road and I get to choose which journey I'm going to take today. And I want to take a journey that is going to give me more freedom. And I want to do whatever's required of me just for today until bedtime to get there.
I was thinking about, while you were talking, I was thinking about like, well, frameworks are great. Like we have care and we have a lot of frameworks, but what we really need in the moment are reframes, right? And so the topic today is a reframe. It's not hard, it's just new, and I think like that was what you're talking about, where like the fear and the excitement thing, where is it really anxiety or like I've heard people reframe boredom as peace, and that's wild. And like, yeah, it does suck a lot less, and because we can't promise you raindrops and whatever, rainbows and sprinkles and glitter, but the things that are hard in life are so much less hard when you are clean and when you're in recovery, because every time you goof, you learn, and it's like it's clear as day, and that's fun. Where like instead of like facing a challenge like, oh, you're like, oh, that's
I've
interesting
reframed
information.
failure. I've reframed failure for myself. Failure isn't failure, it's learning. I either win or I learn. I either win or I learn. I either win or I learn. And I choose to learn. I'm never gonna have fingers pointing at me again and blame myself because you know what? I want to die trying, you guys. Life is too short not to be lived. It really is. And these reframes can be very useful. If you've got reframes and you happen across this, this is the first time we're doing this. For all we know, it's going out into the ether and no one's listening to us, and that's fine because we're growing and we're learning. But if you have a reframe that's helped you, it might help others if you just put it down there in the comments and let us know, you know, what reframe has been useful for you because there's so many changes in perception I've had over the years that I can't even remember them all at this point, and they've become part of who I am, which is amazing. It's amazing. We have such a capacity for growth and making new tracks in our brain, and we can decide today that I'm going to get a better perspective on my life.
It's so exciting to me to just recognize that, like, I always felt like I was kind of a ship at sea, and like I was just at the whim of the sea. And it's like,
Rudderless.
no, yeah, but it's like, no, like I'm one positive decision away from a completely better life. And like, I want to land this 30,000-foot plane for people, right? Because, first of all, there's all sorts of things that you're telling yourself in your head if you're out there and you found us for the reason that you want to get out of the food and you want to live a better life. And that, and that it won't work for me. I can't do it. And that's what this reframing is. It's that it's being able to see that even if you don't think you can reach it now, that it's possible, right? So I remember when I was learning, when I first started like putting some of these things down in my life that were controlling my life. And I recognized that I lived in this house. It was built in 1905, old house. And I had this annoying cat that wanted to get in the door, right? So if the door just was unhinged, like it was just not clicked, but it was closed, it would all way open. So really, that's all you need. It's this like tiny little space. And that's just like, is it possible for me to get clean? Like, well, yeah, in a perfect world where everything went right and my family listened to me, good. Go with that. Start there. That's the first piece. That's your first like grabbing the rudder and starting to steer, like, okay, let me reach for that. Even if it's some far off possibility, it is because it's just scary, I think, for people to even conceive that this is possible.
I
It
think it is because we are geared and people, they market to us to if it should be a quick fix. We should be able to do this in a 30-day challenge, or we should be able to do this like all of the success stories and this and that. And each person is unique and has a different life. And I think that the thing is, like, even 30 days, like, I don't even think in those terms. I think of what do I need to do today to have the best life possible today? And what things do I not want to do today? And I don't want to do things that are going to harm me or others. And to me, that's what addiction does in all of its manifestations. Whether it's, you've been out of the food for a minute and you find yourself on Candy Crush one too many times and you're getting short with the kids and people in your home because you got to play one more game. And I know who I'm talking to. If you're out there and if you're an addict like me, you know who you are when I say that. More, different, better. You always have to have that fix, get that hit. I don't have to do that just for today. Just for today, I can be free from that crap. And it is crap. And I do not allow my mind today to think something's going to be hard. And Dave knows that. He's known me for going on almost 6 years now. And he knows I do not allow myself to think something's hard. I ask myself, how can I do this? If it's worthy of doing, why not? How can I do this? Why not ask yourself that? How can I take this first step? You would want that for someone you love, and you got to learn to love yourself, you guys. You got to learn to love yourself.
Yeah, and like, how important is it to you? Because that's going to determine how willing you are to do it. It's like a value proposition. Well, how much more valuable will your life be, or your relationship be, your relationship with yourself be, the relationship with the person you see in the mirror in the morning and the night when you brush your teeth and no one's looking? How will that change when you're not being controlled by the substance that you so desperately want to remove from your life?
And just because you want to doesn't mean that you can right away. And that's a brain function too. It's called the withdrawal loop. And so, I mean, now that Dave's brought that up, I'm just going to tell you your brain is going to fight tooth and nail to get you to get another hit because it doesn't want to go through the pain of withdrawal. And withdrawal is hard, but it's also necessary. And so when I said I do whatever's necessary just for today to get to where I want to be today, to feel how I want to feel about myself, I mean it. I'm willing to go through some pain and it does pass. It always passes. But I want you guys to realize it's not because you're a weak person if you feel like picking up when you're trying to stop. It's because your brain is uncomfortable. It's seriously uncomfortable. And I can tell you there are little things you can do. Splash cold water on your face, that gives you a dopamine release. Go outside and get in the sun. Listen to some good music. Call a friend. Um, there's so many little things you can do to just kind of trick your brain into getting that little boost so it can make it through that pattern. I believe that any addict, that's something Dave and I share, is we believe any addict can recover. And any is a powerful small word. What does it mean, Dave?
Without exception.
Without exception. Without exception, anyone can do this. It may not happen overnight. So what? That does not make you a weak or a bad person. I wanted to stop doing some things for a long time before I was able to. And today I'm free. And I'm telling you what, I don't care how long it takes. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. That would be, I think, the end of the message for today. Do not give up no matter what.
No matter what.
All right, guys.
See you soon.